This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this fine podcast can save 20% off the first year of an annual subscription to a great Detroit sports website by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. That's theathletic.com/DSP for 20% savings on the first year of an annual subscription.
Oh my God!
Welcome to episode 21 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Show. On today's episode, we have some news on Rey Mysterio, what the heck is going on with Jeff Hardy, and, of course, we're going to review Smackdown, Raw. We've got Mr. Monday Night here in the house already, and we've got to review Fastlane. Speaking of Mr. Monday Night, what is going on, the Doc, John Macaroon?
Yes, sir, baby. I had myself a great week of wrestling. Sat down Sunday, watched the pay-per-view. It was the day of my birthday, so I was relaxed, and the PJs on, kind of watched Fastlane. It was a great pay-per-view, and then got to Monday Night Raw. I was excited all day, and then got down to the Little Caesars Arena. A little bit later on, I'll review my time there. But Fastlane, overall, I enjoyed it. It was great wrestling. I thought the storylines kind of came to fruition. Look, I know they did, just kind of set up a match just real quickly there in the pre-show. Really didn't have much meaning. But in the end, I thought that Fastlane, some people say, is a throwaway pay-per-view. But I enjoyed the wrestling. I thought the matches were really high quality. Now, in terms of some of the results, I'm not happy with. I think you squashed some people's pushes and things like that. Some moves were made in terms of, I'm seeing more three-way matches being set up for WrestleMania.
A lot of them.
I'm not happy. But getting into overall my thoughts on Fastlane, I gave it a B+. I thought it was really good. And it kicked off with Nakamura defeating Rusev. I thought it was a great match. We all knew Nakamura was going to win. But, some people could argue, did you really need Rusev to put over Nakamura at that spot? But in the end, sometimes a loss is okay when you have this great performance. It's really hard sometimes because the fans like Rusev. He's over. But Nakamura's supposed to be the face in this matchup. And so it's really tough when you got two faces kind of going together. And you had a lot of people that actually wanted Rusev to win, but he didn't.
Yeah, overall, I thought Fastlane was a decent show. I felt like it suffered from being underpromoted. It really felt like...
Too quick.
Yeah. WWE didn't give it the time or didn't build stories to lead into this to really get the public's ire up and get them wanting to be invested and interested in this. And then you have a match between Nakamura and Rusev, which was just set up last Tuesday. Yeah, we all knew Nakamura was going to win because how do you knock off the guy who won the Royal Rumble, who's going on to challenge the champion at WrestleMania? So there's no way Rusev is going to win. And Rusev is booked as a heel, but he is so over as a babyface. You've got two babyfaces going at it, and the crowd at this point is split. So it's very polarizing. Like, how do you have... It's bad booking is what this comes down to.
You know what's fascinating? Even on Monday Night Raw, a brand that Rusev is not on, Rusev Day chants.
All the time.
But unfortunately, it was during the women's match. So you feel bad because these women are working hard, and you just get a sense that, sometimes fans, when they get bored, they start chanting Rusev Day. He's over. And I think he should be getting a big push, which maybe we'll talk about. Maybe he earned with how Smackdown started. But in the end, it was an interesting matchup. Nakamura and Rusev have chemistry. I like to see more of it. Maybe another feud continuing, maybe into SummerSlam.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And a lot's going to happen. We're going to have to wait for WrestleMania, but you're absolutely right. There could be something. They could come back to
Rusev
this.
could draw money.
Yes, it could. Randy Orton ends up becoming a grand champ, hits an RKO out of nowhere to defeat Bobby Roode.
Disappointing. I think everybody that watched that said, you just killed Bobby Roode. Does Randy Orton really need a belt? No. Why would you do that to Randy Orton and to have his first title reign end so quickly, and especially in that way? One RKO and that's it. He's done. I thought it was really bad. Maybe you're underutilizing a guy that has natural talent, Bobby Roode. Why are you taking the slow approach with a 40-year-old wrestler?
Would you be okay with Randy Orton winning and Bobby Roode losing if this was the beginning of the Bobby Roode heel turn? Bobby Roode is a much better heel than he is a babyface. Would you be okay with it then?
I would be okay with it. I just felt like, you know what, maybe in terms of if they could go back, they would probably have that happen early on with Bobby Roode.
Right.
Missed opportunity. Time is ticking. Dude's not young. He's not a 25-year-old wrestler. Dude's 40 years old.
I think what you could have done here is you could have had Bobby. Don't take the belt off Bobby Roode. I think taking the belt off Bobby Roode is a misstep. I think you could have had Jinder Mahal come out and interfere in this match, costing Bobby Roode the W, but keeping his belt. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that way you don't make Randy Orton look weak and you don't weaken Bobby Roode.
Now,
I think that's the way to do it.
Most disappointing aspect of the pay-per-view was Carmella and Natty sloppy match over Naomi and Becky. It just was really disappointing. Botch spots. The ending kind of was weak to me. I was like, wow, this is where it's at with these ladies. They have much more talent. And to put it out like this in a match at a pay-per-view, remember, pay-per-views are where you draw a lot of eyes and things like that. Carmella and Natty with a win. It was disappointing. It wasn't a great match. And it just kind of was like, okay, let's get to the next thing. It could have been used as a snack time. It was tough.
Total filler.
Filler.
It wasn't a very good
Thumbs
match.
down. Worst part of the pay-per-view.
It was bad. It got sloppy there towards the end and in the middle.
A great part of the pay-per-view, the Bludgeon Brothers, they come out and they destroy everybody.
This is something I don't know if we talked about last week or if we thought this was going to happen, but this kind of threw our card into a little bit of a tizzy here when we sat there and made our predictions, because neither one of us said that the Bludgeon Brothers were going to come out and destroy both teams. But they came out. This was a great match, first off, right? The Usos versus the New Day, awesome match. You had both teams doing each other's finishing moves to each other. It was great. It was outstanding. And then next thing you know, the Bludgeon Brothers come down and they just melee everybody. Everybody. Like on Tuesday night, you had 3 guys from a collective 5-man unit not be able to wrestle because of the injury sustained by the Bludgeon Brothers. I think it's an awesome build.
Yeah, Bludgeon Brothers was nice to see. And I thought, you know what? When you don't have a winner between the New Day and the Usos, you can continue that matchup. You can continue that storyline, and it's a perfect way to not have anybody lose and not lose momentum for anybody. Then you have Charlotte taking on Ruby Riott, and it was a great matchup. Ruby Riott, you got something there.
Yeah.
You got something there on the surface where she can hold her own versus the best in the world in Charlotte. And I thought that it was played out perfectly. Charlotte ends up winning the match. And then as the time comes, Asuka comes out. Asuka's music plays out, and you're like, oh, we got a swerve here. She comes out, and then you start formulating. You're like, wait a minute. Uh-oh, here it is. Asuka's made her decision. She's going to fight Charlotte, WrestleMania. She points, and we know it. It's Charlotte versus Asuka, WrestleMania. I like it. Perfect setup. I think that's what you needed to do to continue to build this card at WrestleMania. That's another match I'll be looking forward to seeing. And probably, you know what? It doesn't hurt Charlotte to lose the belt. She's lost it before. Perfect way to segue into Asuka winning a title belt. And she's on SmackDown, so be it. Whatever. Asuka gets a belt. Awesome.
Yeah. I think this was done beautifully. They
Perfectly,
did a great
right?
job. So you have a really good match between 2 really good wrestlers who do an exceptional job in the ring. And then you're undefeated, you're monster essentially, right? Asuka comes down and she challenges Charlotte. This is something we speculated on last week and the week prior to that, and now it's paying off. We're seeing the fruition of it. And I think going into WrestleMania, I think Asuka comes out with the belt. Charlotte's not damaged for the loss here. You, again, continue to build upon Asuka. At some point, though, I need her promos to get a little bit smoother. I feel like she's too yelly. Like she's always screaming at you, and then her body's always moving around really weird.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it's like, are we on a boat? What's going on? It's just a little weird to me.
Now, if you're a fan that just kind of picks and chooses what matches to watch at pay-per-views, if you're doing that with Fastlane, just go to the main event. That's all you need to get enjoyment out of a great matchup.
It had
with
everything.
It had everything you wanted. Great matchups. Everybody worked hard. Everybody had their spots go over. It was great. And in the end, you had McMahon continuing his issues with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which continued over on SmackDown. But it was great. You know, you had great moves. You had AJ Styles taking massive bumps. And then in the end, he comes out of nowhere. He drops the phenomenal forearm on Kevin Owens, and it was amazing. Came out of nowhere, and I felt like it kind of was like a quick bam ending to a great match, but we all knew it was AJ Styles. But I guess if you want to elevate AJ Styles, if you want to put him in a matchup against 5 other dudes, I know what they're doing. They're elevating AJ Styles as a guy. Look at this guy. Look at this competitor who's earned his right to keep his belt. The reason why we're mad is not because of the fact that AJ Styles is in this match. We're mad because we want all the attention on AJ Styles, because we want, when you have a one-on-one matchup, there's more moves, there's more chemistry, there's more psychology. We don't want to see a bunch of other dudes take away the highlights of watching a guy in his prime. So that's why these 5- and 6-man matches are a little bit disappointing, but if you have AJ Styles wins, I understand the psychology. He's earned it. He's a badass champion, but we already knew that. You didn't need to. You really need to establish to the average fan that AJ. I mean, literally, if you just want to go to the WWE fans, you don't want to go to the guys that knew him already. In the last 2 years, great matches with John Cena, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. You don't think the average fan that's watching goes,
Jinder
dude,
Mahal.
that guy can wrestle.
Yep.
You didn't need to establish it. We all know it. At least it changed up how they've used AJ Styles, at least in his perception, right?
The issue with multi-man matches is everybody has to get their stuff in. Everybody's got to get their spot in, right? So John Cena lays down 5 AAs, right? I mean,
that was cool start, right?
It was, but again, a guy who's got to get his stuff in.
John Cena.
You know, I mean, Kevin Owens has to get his stuff in. Sami Zayn, he's got to get how many haluva kicks in? Do you know? So everybody's got to get their stuff in. And you're right, it takes away from the match. It's what could be a really compelling match if you told a really compelling story to get you really invested. So when you just throw all these guys in there, you're just kind of like, all right, cool. And look, everybody's got an attention problem. That's why you stare at your phone every 5 seconds, right? Because you can't pay attention to something long enough. So now you've got a match where you've got a million things moving all at once. It's really hard to pay attention to what the heck's going on because there's so much going on all the time. And that's the issue that is with the multi-man matches. In the end, it was a really good match. And AJ Styles comes out the winner, and Shane McMahon gets involved. I'm kind of tired of the Shane McMahon getting involved. You know, I understand now this is his build to WrestleMania, or this has been his build to WrestleMania, but geez Louise, man, I am really over Shane McMahon getting involved. Did it bother you that he sat there and he basically cost... Look, I understand
the storyline.
Yes,
so you got to
I understand
the
psychology of the match, but...
Yeah.
He gets involved. He costs both
like
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens the match. I want those guys to lose on their own way. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't need Shane McMahon to get involved. It just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, now we go over to Monday Night Raw.
No, hold on. We've got to do Calling the Card.
Oh, yeah. Part of the reason why I loved it.
So this is something where you should be happy, okay?
I won!
So this was something weird because we got a bunch wrong this time. Normally, we're really good at this. We got a ton wrong. So we got Nakamura correct. Then we botched the Randy Orton pick. We didn't factor in the Bludgeon Brothers to the tag match, all right? I had the Usos winning because you took the New Day. So in the end, I guess, I don't know, Usos ended up retaining, but they didn't win.
Right.
So we're then surprised by a bad women's match, okay, because we both got that one wrong. And then we're redeemed by Charlotte winning. And in the end, you get the bonus point with AJ Styles pinning Kevin Owens because you picked Kevin Owens to take the fall. I picked John Cena. So we got 3 right, 3 wrong. You get the bonus point. So I get a half a point because we got to split that point, but you get the extra half a point, so you get a full point. Everybody following this?
I won the Fastlane basically challenge.
There's a lot of points going on.
Yep.
So in the end, the records are me with 4, you with 1.5.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It was great.
So
great
now we
card.
transition over to Raw.
Yeah, I was in the house, baby.
You were in the house.
I was the idiot.
Over TV.
If you recap on the 312 episode, which I can't wait to get on the WWE network, it'll be archived forever. When you see the idiot with the NWO shirt in the front row, that was the Doc. I had a great time. Overall, look, I know some people are reviewing it critically. I had a good time with it. I got there early. Doors opened at 6. I was there. Went to one of the Mexican restaurants, had some chips and salsa, had some Chipotle-style bowls there. It was really good food. Yeah, a little pricey, but in the end, you know that going into Little Caesars Arena. We got to our seats. It was great. We were right there in the front row. I had a great time, and it's something you got to do once if you're a wrestling fan, is just get in the front row and experience it. Is it the best view in the house? No. I would say that you want to be in the 4th or 5th row. You want a little bit of an angle watching the event, but I saw everything I wanted to see because, I got glasses on, I got great vision, and I enjoyed the overall presentation.
Telescopes on his
face. I saw everything I wanted to see. I stood up for the whole time. I was in the camera. In one of the baddest promos of all time, John Cena was there, and I'm sitting there clapping. So you see John Cena and you see John McEnroe, 2 legends in the universe coinciding. And like I said earlier this week on DocNJock,
somebody likes them. So.
Yeah, it was great. I was like, yes, that's what I wanted to do, was get up in the camera. And I know now, red light's on, baby. Red light is Doc time, baby. And I was there, and you see me in the Oscar promo. You see me quite a bit in the event. If you just look for the guy in the NWO shirt, the dark black with the goatee, that was the Doc from DocNJock. I had fun with it. And like I said earlier this week on a previous podcast, it was great to know that for a brief moment in time, Vince and Shane were staring at me in the monitors because they're all over that production. When you seen Roman Reigns go back there, they were all over everything. So in a moment of time, they see me doing the Matt Hardy delete thing, and I'm there, and I'm having a great time, and it was fun. You should do it once, but once is enough. Yeah, first row is fine, but A lot of nuance, security's up your ass to make sure everything's okay, and things like that. People spilling beer.
You made friends with a security guard.
I made friends with a great security guard.
Was
yeah,
it Brandon or Darius?
yeah.
Who was it?
Brandon. I made. Of course, you got to make friends. You have to. It's a people thing. So you give everybody a fist bump and say, "Yeah, let me up here," and they're like, "Sure." And the other guy was a little strict. Was like, "Hey, keep the aisle clear."
He was a crotchety old white man.
Crotchety old white guy was trying to
Not cool.
player hate on the dock, but of course I don't care.
Brandon, the random black security guard. That's your boy.
That's my
though.
boy.
That's your boy.
Young guy. But
So-
Raw was awesome. I thought in my eyes, but most people said it was awesome on television. In-house, people were disappointed. No Brock Lesnar, no Ronda Rousey. They're like, hey, wait a minute.
And those were promised.
Yeah, Vince was in the house. He didn't come out. So I would say that if you're a wrestling fan that only goes once in a while, maybe you could be disappointed. But for someone like me, I had a great time. I thought advanced storylines. I thought there was some amazing promo work. And I thought that you had a great pay-per-view style matchup. When you have Seth Rollins and Finn Balor do their thing, they get an opportunity to do great things in the ring. And I saw it for a good 20 minutes. It was awesome.
Did you have any dark matches? This is the one thing about going to a live event for WWE. You usually get a couple matches before that are really good, and then they usually save something for the very end. Like you're waiting there probably until almost 11:30 for something awesome to happen.
Right. No dark match, which is really weird in that there was nothing after Braun Strowman got to the top of the ring and there was no dark match. Nothing like that. I think they haven't been doing that lately, maybe because of the fact that maybe there's a time restriction with LCA in terms of getting your stuff out wherever the next place was. Maybe you'll tell me where Smackdown emanated from. But there was no dark match. And in the end, though, for me, I probably couldn't have made it through a dark match. I don't need a dark match.
Right.
I'm there for the 3 hours of Raw. There's 2 matches for the taping of main event. I was okay. I think that I was telling Andrea, I'm like, wow. And she said the same thing. My wife who went with me, she said, wow, we kind of feel like this energy dump, man. We put a lot of energy into cheering for Braun Strowman, a lot of energy into The Miz, a lot of energy into a lot of the things that were going on in the show. So, and then the pure excitement of the adrenaline kind of wore off. But for me, if you wrestling fan, you can see wrestling at a really good price and get good views. So, and for me, I've seen Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey would just been another promo. There were some great promos with Roman Reigns and calling out Vince McMahon. You had John Cena going into the crowd. There were a lot of good things furthering storylines, but there were also a lot of filler moments as well in terms of maybe the Asuka match didn't need to happen. You could just had her do a promo. You could have also featured other dudes like Bray Wyatt. Entrance would have been cool. Matt Hardy coming out to the arena. So it was a lot of promos, and so I think a lot of fans of Detroit, I don't know if Vince is mad that it hasn't been sellouts in the last 2 cards in Detroit. I was saying that to you earlier. I'm like, well, what's the reason why? Because usually he delivers in Detroit, and usually he does things a little bit over the top, like with the return of Shane McMahon, with Shane McMahon jumping off of the cage. This one kind of felt like more of a house show than a television production, but overall,
Even my wife asked. She was like, weren't they just here? And I was like, well, Detroit's a really good market for wrestling.
And it was that was
and
SmackDown. This is Raw.
sell out. So yeah, I tried explaining it to her, and she was like, oh, okay. She still didn't get it, but whatever.
Yeah.
So no dark matches.
No dark matches.
We start off Monday Night Raw with Roman Reigns addressing Kurt Angle, who had come down to the ring. And basically, Roman Reigns is calling out Vince McMahon. He cuts a promo on Vince, who's in the back in Gorilla.
Shoot Roman Reigns in terms of he likes to shoot now. That's what they kind of are going for. They're trying to get him over by having him do these shoot-style interviews, which means kind of breaking the fourth wall there and letting people into kind of some things that could be real but not real. That's what a shoot is in wrestling.
So he goes to the back, and he gets in Vince's face. Shane tries to break it up. He tells Shane, I'm not talking to you, and basically puts Shane back in his place. Him and Vince go off camera. They go to a commercial. They come back. We're told that Roman Reigns is suspended. Do you like how they are framing Roman Reigns? And
no.
What I mean by framing Roman Reigns is they're trying to do something that got a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin over.
Right.
Where he's kind of the anti-authority figure. He's the guy who's going to go against the grain. Vince wants it this way. He's going another way. And they're trying to paint Brock Lesnar as this ultimate heel, as this ultimate bad guy. This is trying to get everybody to love Roman Reigns.
Not happening. Fans are booing him. They don't like him. It's not going to work. Outside of his involvement with the Shield, he's not over. He's a heel. And unfortunately, you've booked him against Brock Lesnar, who people like. They don't care that Brock Lesnar's being put this way. I mean, yeah, you're upset that you're telling him about his contract, but dude's making a ton of money. He doesn't care if the fans boo him or cheer him. But anyway, I think with the fans, people like Brock Lesnar because of Paul Heyman.
Right.
So people like the promos. He's hyped up. So I just think they need to go
You
with
think they'd
it.
like Roman Reigns if he had Paul Heyman? Mm-hmm. I think so, too.
Yeah, and so what the rumors are is that maybe you're going to have a Rock-style turn where Roman Reigns takes this and actually turns and maybe is working with Vince McMahon is actually Vince's boy.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that. If that happens,
roll with that Roman's a heel, now you gain more heat. That's all right. That's the way I would go.
You're right. Okay, I get that, but you can't have Roman go with Vince because do you remember what happened when Austin did that? It killed WWE.
Yeah.
It killed WWE. It made WWE almost unwatchable, right? So you can't have Roman go with Vince. You can make Roman a heel, and I agree with you there.
Or do a swerve. Yep.
Yes, I agree there. You can do that, but you can't have Roman go with Vince. So the women got a lot of love this week. We had 3 different matches. It was like women coming out of the trees here. It was nuts. We had the build for Sasha Banks. So you have the Sasha Banks Bayley friction going on. We also have the build for Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. So that looks like that's going to actually take place now. Next week should be interesting there.
Yes.
The real question coming out of this show, and it's something I talked to you about on the Doc and Jock show. You can check that out every single Thursday right here on this very network. The real question is, how hot are Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose? And you know I have a thing for Sonya Deville, and I don't know why, I just do.
Smoking hot, baby. It was nice to see. I was like, wow. The complete package with Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. They came out as part of Absolution. You had Paige there, and I was like, wow, very nice. Mandy Rose probably wins it for me in that she's got the total package. She looks really good as a hot blonde, and I like the fact that they're kind of building her up a little bit slowly. But Sonya Deville is okay. I think she's doing her thing. She's getting in the ring.
You wouldn't
mixing
kick
up.
her out of bed for eating crackers.
Nope, not at all.
Right.
I just think that the Absolution angle is kind of taking its, making its way, making their mark here and there. And I like the fact they're continuing this kind of angle with what's going on with Bayley and Sasha Banks, and it's working. I like the way that Absolution is being marketed and used in WWE. Mandy Rose is money. You just got to get her to be a little bit better in the ring. You got to get her a little bit better as a on-mic performer, and once that happens, that's why probably they need another year in NXT.
Yeah.
But now they're up, they're learning. Once they get there with the tutelage of Paige, it's going to be nice.
I think Mandy Rose most reminds me of Trish Stratus. I feel like if she can put it all together, and once it all clicks, she will be the next Trish Stratus. And she'll be pushed that way because of her look. Did you notice when Paige was on the apron, when they went to go beat up Sasha Banks? So Paige is on the apron. You've got Sasha who charges at Mandy Rose, hits her with a forearm. Then she goes to attack Sonya Deville, who jumps in the ring and starts attacking Sasha. Before that, Paige looked like she was going to get in the ring, and she kind of stopped because she's dealing with the concussions, and she can't do anything. So she can't even get in the mix because if she accidentally gets bumped, she's going to get hurt. Did you see her hesitate, kind of go forward and then pull back? Did you notice that when you were there?
I did notice it. I was like, oh, man. Everyone wants to. You can't. When the adrenaline's pumping.
You could tell she wants it so bad, but she can't do it. Going back to Nia Jax, do you think she's going to get the Braun Strowman build where she's going to be the monster? She's going to be this unstoppable, undefeatable, just gorilla in the room where nobody can take down Braun. Braun's going on to compete at WrestleMania for the tag team.
Nia's the women's draw.
He took over. He threw everybody out of a battle royal.
The way they used Alexa Bliss to try and troll Nia Jax was great. At first she says, I love you. I need you for next week. I'm fighting Asuka. And then you go back and you have Alexa Bliss and Mickie James kind of talking trash. It was awesome. It elicited emotion. People were, really invested in Nia Jax saying, oh, go out there and kill her. Kill Alexa Bliss. It was awesome. I think Nia Jax, however you use her, she is unique. She's a talent that you want to see, that she is different than everybody else. It was cool to have a Detroit jobber out there getting worked over. And was like, what on earth? Who is that? Because the jobber was out of shape, very short, and the match was like 30 seconds. Yes. So that was a funny moment for Andrea to go like, what the hell? I'm like, yeah, she probably got $500 to show up. But
sure.
Like,
she got to eat catering,
It was great. Yeah, got to eat catering. So it was great. I liked everything about how Nia Jax is being utilized. Nothing wrong at all. I feel like, you know what? Maybe you also give her a male counterpart manager, somebody to hype her up. I think Nia Jax is in line for a hype person as well. She's great. She should get the Braun Strowman build. It was nice to see. I like the way they use Nia Jax. It's great.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought it was awesome. All right, so probably the best moment of Monday Night Raw. John Cena comes down to the ring and cuts the most epic promo, and he calls out The Undertaker. During this promo, he jumped into the crowd, drank a dude's beer, came back. You got to see John on screen.
Yeah, clapping.
John Cena basically lost his mind and told The Undertaker that he's delusional. He's damn it, I can't remember.
He's got a bad
ego.
He's got a big ego.
Can't
handle failure.
Right, and he needs to sit there and
full of himself.
Basically, pack up his bag and let's go. Get back in the ring and dust
fight me at WrestleMania
and let's do this darn thing. I like how I screwed up the promo. So, anyways, what were your thoughts on this? I thought it was epic.
Great live. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I felt like, you know what, John Cena needs a match. You know what was interesting in that nobody's ever cut a promo like that on The Undertaker ever. And all the feuds he's had, it's been a little bit about, I'm going to beat you and things like that. You never had anybody really attack him personally. John Cena was able to do that and elicit us wanting to see that match. I want to see it. I want to see John Cena and The Undertaker. Now, you could have been a little bit of teasing like they did at the Raw you and I went to and saw it together. Just play The Undertaker's music.
Right.
Just play it.
Something.
Get the fans over a little bit. You were disappointing us all night anyway, so just push it. Play the button, damn it. But it was a great promo, scathing, on point, and John Cena now is a guy that can elicit what he needs to via the promo platform, and why not? Dude can do it. I would love to see The Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania. Why not?
So I'm not a huge fan for this
Go
match,
over.
but it'll be interesting.
As long as Undertaker wins. If Cena wins, forget it. It's disaster.
The one thing I thought was interesting, he basically pulled the CM Punk card.
Yeah.
He said, if they really didn't want me to talk, they'd cut my mic off. And then he tapped his mic, and he did that twice. Yeah. So I thought that was awesome. That was kind of a throwback there. We ended up getting a promo for the Ultimate Deletion.
Yeah, it was okay. It was cool. I've seen it before and similar in TNA and things like that.
Right.
So it's cool. I look forward to it. It seems like it's going to be off the chains, but it's
I'm not really invested in it.
It's like similar to Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, right? It's kind of similar to that nonsense. Yeah, it's going to be taped and done, and whatever happens.
No
happens.
maggots on the ring will be
right.
cool.
Yep.
Do you think this is going to be as entertaining as the TNA angle was?
No, it's going to be probably overproduced. And,
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't see it delivering.
I think they're going to screw it up.
I think if you're looking at the most overdrawn angle of 2017, 2018, it's Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt. They should have ended it. Move on.
A long time ago.
Move on.
All right, so in the end, we have a battle royal with all of the tag teams on Raw. The winner gets to go on to face the Bar at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman is a late entrance into this. It's Braun Strowman by himself. He demolishes every single tag team in the ring.
So Braun Strowman's a tag team now?
So Braun Strowman by himself. So he's going on to face the Bar at WrestleMania. I hate this.
I hate it too.
I hate this because you just buried your entire tag team
division.
Right.
Exactly. You don't do it that way. Braun Strowman is a marquee guy. I mean, you could have even evolved it with a match versus Elias. Maybe he's injured or maybe there's some things going on, but you got Braun Strowman and it feels like, okay, are you going to then have the Bar lose to Braun Strowman?
Because then what? Nobody in your tag team division is worth a damn?
Yeah.
And do you kill Braun Strowman, who's the monster you've been building for over a year, who's super over?
Braun Strowman is worthy of a main event match, a level. Braun Strowman is worthy of a main event caliber match, but who is the main event caliber dude you could put him with? It could be Elias.
See, I'd be invested in seeing Elias for Strowman.
Yeah,
I would be totally invested in it. It could be a no holds barred type match. It could be, you could do anything. I would be totally invested in it, but you've got to let Elias get some work in.
Yeah.
He's got whether or not he injures Braun going into the match, that way Braun's, basically cut down to size for him. I would have been more interested in a Braun Elias match than I'm going to be in the Bar versus Braun Strowman.
And here's the thing. You then probably are setting up with another massive tag team. All these dudes in the tag team are going to fight in the Battle Royal. That sucks. You got tag team wrestling.
Right.
Implement that. The part about Raw, obviously, that I liked the most was Miz TV and then the matchup with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Great match. But to use Braun Strowman that way, I'd give it a thumbs down. It was great to see live. It was great to see Braun Strowman destroy everything. But I felt like you could have definitely highlighted the Bar on Raw because they're main event caliber. You could have had him fight the Revival. You could have had him in a real match that could have lasted and done some things. If you're gonna, go that route, I feel like you wasted an opportunity to maybe even elevate a team. Maybe you could have had another match instead of maybe the women's match. You could have had maybe the Revival fight Titus O'Neil and Apollo. You could have highlighted some more tag team wrestling instead of doing it that way because it does undermine the tag team division. But you want to elevate Braun Strowman. You want to give him a tag team belt as okay. What are you going to have a series of 1-on-2 matches? It just it was
doesn't
kind of
make any sense
it was a little bit downer of an ending to Raw. But I think what people like is people are just still in the simple phase of we like Braun killing things. Braun kill things.
That's it.
They're simple right now, but
it's Braun Smash and
Braun Smash.
It's awesome
for the smart marks. It's a little bit disappointing.
I just feel like you're doing irreparable harm. I don't know how you come back to build your tag team up.
Let's go for SmackDown.
Let's go to SmackDown. All right. Oh, look at that. On the same page. Look at this. All right. AJ Styles and Rusev, they start Raw off. They have a good match. That's seen Aiden English and Nakamura get involved.
Nice match.
Again, is Rusev being misbooked? And I think so.
Yes. Prior to that, though, I do want to bring up a point. AJ's promo was good. I like that
good.
he said, look, you guys are chanting, you deserve it. Great. But then he came out with probably the line of the year on SmackDown, which is, yeah, thank you for that, but I earned it. And I thought that was the way delivered, timing, perfect. Then you have Nakamura come out, which was perfect. You have him stare down. And then the surprise was the entrance of Rusev. I was like, yes, I like to see this matchup. Is Rusev being booked improperly? Of course. Rusev is main event. He's over. It's time probably for him to have a belt, a legitimate belt, and it's time for him to get some wins and get some, get some time to get over and do some more things. I mean, the combination of whoever decided to put Aiden English with him is perfect. The song's great. You got a marketable thing. You got something that can sell. Rusev is main event. It's just when. When is it going to happen? It's probably going to be popped off with maybe a win for Rusev in a big match at WrestleMania. It'll be great. Rusev's time's coming. I just think we want to see it now. The marks want to see it now, but I know it's being misbooked, but I would say be patient. When it comes, it's going to hit. It's going to hit big. Rusev's going to be big.
It is. He is going to be big. Do you think Nakamura should be booked more as a strong silent type? I feel like his promo was missed sometimes.
Him and Asuka both kind of this week on their promos. Asuka was funny at Raw. Just to go back for a second, she delivered a line to Alexa Bliss, and the whole crowd was like, what? What did you say? If you pay attention to one of the opening lines she says to Alexa Bliss is like, whoa! And it was like, people were like, huh?
Yeah.
What did you say? I couldn't, I watched it again on replay. I couldn't make out the words she said.
It's like way too much yelling.
It's hard to process a little bit of the words she said. So for Nakamura, you got to do a little bit more gimmicky vignettes. I think you could definitely continue this feud with Nakamura and AJ Styles in a different way. Maybe, some backstage stuff, some vignettes, some things that, highlight Nakamura.
He doesn't. I don't think he needs to talk. He's so charismatic.
Doesn't need to talk.
Physically, he can talk with his body.
Exactly.
I absolutely loved the Jimmy Uso and the Big E match versus the Bludgeon Brothers. This was the retribution for the Bludgeon Brothers destroying the tag teams on Fastlane. I thought this was a great match. I thought it had a lot of energy. I thought Jimmy Uso and Big E worked well together. In the end, you knew who was going to win. It has to be the Bludgeon Brothers because this is the build now. This is their build. I see them winning the belts at WrestleMania, and you can't stop them right now. This has been awesome. I think everybody's invested in this. They finally got some good competition, and they took care of business.
100% agree.
Did you enjoy Charlotte and Asuka's promo? I thought Asuka did a much better job with this promo. A little bit less yelling, but the body's still kind of swerving all over. It kind of freaks me out a little bit.
This is a match I want to see at WrestleMania. You don't really need to do much more than that. Just get these two women, backstage promos, interviews, whatever you got to do, sit down, contract signing, whatever the old playbook is to get what you need to do out of it. But Charlotte Asuka sells itself. You don't really got to do a whole heck of a lot. So you know what needs to happen?
What's that?
Each of them's got to cost each other matches. You got to start getting physical now. We've gotten the promos. We got the match announced. Next week, Charlotte has a match. Asuka comes down, costs her, slaps her in the face. Then maybe Charlotte shows up on Raw, and maybe Charlotte shows up. Asuka versus Alexa Bliss shows up, maybe sits at the ringside, does a little bit. They got to start doing now.
You can't cost Asuka a match, though.
I mean, not cost her a match, but impede her ability to win the match.
There you go.
Involve herself, and start building the heat as to why these two hate each other. So you can't have them. Sometimes you got to do similar to what how other angles are developed. Got to get in there and get physical. 1 week, one goes over. The next week, the other goes over. You maybe have a couple moves. Superplex. Maybe Asuka does one of those moves that we haven't seen yet, and she whips it out for Charlotte. You got to get physical now. It's time.
Yeah, I agree with you. After this, SmackDown kind of hits cruise control. We have Jinder Mahal beating Bobby Roode. We've got Carmella beating Naomi.
There's
some more filler.
Fast forward time.
Different stuff. It was just kind of like, okay.
That was the weak part of the show.
It was.
No doubt.
And all that built us up to Shane coming down and announcing that he's taking a leave of absence from SmackDown.
Say what?
Before he leaves, though, he announces that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will challenge each other at WrestleMania for the 900th time.
The problem is you've had this match so many times. In this reincarnation, I'm not any more invested than I was the previous 800 times. I don't want to see this match. Probably be a match where, in WrestleMania, if you place it right, you can have a good match, but you can let the fans kind of tune out. Maybe in between a title match, maybe in between if you have the Usos and New Day, and then you go on to the triple threat match with the Intercontinental title. Perfect, right in the middle of two title matches. Let people kind of reset and have a good 15-minute match. Or if Kevin Owens is not really well, you can do like a 12 to 15-minute match. Give the fans a little bit of a respite. But if you place it right, it's a good filler. But I'm not interested. I don't care.
I got you, and I agree with you. I think it's going to change though because they then proceeded to beat the living crap out of Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
who
That's what you're thinking
he
again?
may be injured. I'm not sure. He took a
Right.
bad bump
Yeah.
off of like a steel girder.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I got to do some more research there.
But the thinking logically would be Triple H is now training, so maybe Shane's going to do some more behind the scenes work with Vince, learning more about Raw because you saw him there in the production area. Maybe
That's
just
usually
learning,
Triple H's spot.
yeah, learning about this and that, or doing some things in place of Triple H because Triple H is now on the talent side.
Right.
So maybe some NXT stuff, some just talent development, some stuff behind the scenes and making more money, planning more shows. So probably you think that, and then you probably are going to have some situation of Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Shane McMahon. I'm hoping it's not a WrestleMania, but you know Shane likes to wrestle it up at WrestleMania.
Does.
Yeah.
Initially, it was reported that he was going to face Dolph Ziggler, so something has changed. I'm not sure. Maybe Dolph Ziggler works his way into this match and maybe it becomes a tag team with Shane and Dolph versus Sammy and Kevin. I'm not sure.
Now, a point that was made by a prominent wrestling podcaster, and I really took to it, is that in WrestleMania, what's happening is you're trying to get everybody on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know what, you got to scale back and say, you know what, WrestleMania is the show. Not everybody has to be on it. You know what? Your job is to get over, make the company money, and to be able to draw. So you know what? Maybe you eliminate the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Or maybe you keep it, but you say to yourself, you know what? Not every match has to be a 3-way match or a 4-way match or multiple people in it. So that if a Dolph Ziggler's not having the best of years, he doesn't make WrestleMania. You don't think yanking WrestleMania from a Dolph Ziggler would make him bust his ass so that next year he's actually one of the top 15 wrestlers? I mean, you got to have it where WrestleMania is the cream of the crop of your organization. So you don't have the likes of an Aiden English wrestler. You don't have the likes of a Titus O'Neil or an Apollo at WrestleMania. It's not mid-card central. Look, you got 12 other pay-per-views to highlight these mid-carders. WrestleMania is the culmination of your wrestling year, and I do believe you have to start considering, look, you got too many wrestlers. You don't need to feature them all on WrestleMania. They can be there. They can be on camera. They can have segments. They can do things on the entertaining side of things, but you could have a better product, a better show if you don't include all these talents on WrestleMania. It's a big, long show, but it's a big, long wrestling show. So you don't need sometimes the mid-carders there. And I agreed 100% with the point, and I hope they take it into account because, you know, if you're going to have all these mid-card guys on WrestleMania, it's going to start to diminish the great event that is WrestleMania. Hey, it's okay. It's WrestleMania. It's the baddest show on the planet. Treat it as such.
Absolutely. Which one won? I think Raw hands down this week.
Hands down, baby. It promoted WrestleMania. You had great matches. You got superstars that are over. You got things that people like. You got Asuka. You got Absolution. You got, you know, the culmination of what is going to happen in terms of the promos. I like the way they used Roman Reigns and getting suspended. I like seeing Vince. It was cool to kind of see Shane McMahon breaking that fourth wall. So I thought Raw was the better show. Too much filler on SmackDown. Raw was the better show.
Absolutely. So some news and notes real quick.
Hit me with the news and notes, partner.
Speaking of Charlotte and Asuka, it sounds like, so that's going to be a match. It sounds like Carmella will come out and cash in her Money in the Bank. She will lose. So this will be one of the first times that you have two people cash in their Money in the Bank and they both lose. Nobody wins the belt. So expect to see something along those lines. Rey Mysterio may have avoided a huge injury. He has a grade 1 bicep strain, which means his match with Jushin Thunder Liger is still on for New Japan. And it looks like John Cena is going the way of Undertaker. When all this news was being released, it sounded like that John Cena WrestleMania match was still ongoing, but it looks like John Cena has moved on to the Undertaker at this time. On Saturday, Jeff Hardy was involved in a car crash causing $13,000 worth of damage.
Oh!
He was cited with driving while impaired after blowing over 3 times the legal limit.
Jeff.
His license has been suspended.
Yep.
That's right. His license has been suspended for 30 days, which is standard in North Carolina after this type of citation. Sticking with Jeff Hardy, he was supposed to appear in the Ultimate Deletion angle next week. That may be scrapped because of this DWI. So it's going to be interesting to see what WWE does with Jeff Hardy going forward. You got to remember, I think it was Jimmy Uso had something similar when they were in Texas about a month and a half ago. Nothing really ever came of it. I'm not sure what happens here. Again, when this news broke, I got really nervous because Jeff Hardy has addiction problems. So he just had rotator cuff surgery. It's a painful surgery. You're on a lot of pain pills for a long time. Wondering if that tripped up some of those addiction issues. I'm not sure. Got to pay attention to watch this.
Makes sense, yep. Man, it's tough because you want to see the likes of a Jeff Hardy succeed. And when you have addiction issues, They come back. So just, hey, whatever happens, obviously in ring, we want to see the performances that we know he's got, because he's got some stuff left. There's some great matches there with Finn Balor, with the likes of a Seth Rollins. There's some angles there. If you let Jeff Hardy do his thing individually, he's still got some great talent.
He's
but
awesome.
You got to make sure he's
do
right,
it, right.
100%. But
it's just, again, you know the deal.
You know the deal.
Addiction is a tough thing to kick.
Any chance at all CM Punk WrestleMania? Money talks. AJ Styles was on a podcast. I heard him, and he's talking about his career and talking about getting to WWE. And they asked him, they said, well, what do you think about CM Punk? And he said, look, in the end, there may be too many things that are wrong, including the lawsuit, including, really bad hurt feelings. But he said, in the end, in this business, money talks. So if you're the WWE and you want to take this course the right way, and you want to take the advice of just, a great podcaster, flash that cash to CM Punk. Let him show up in some capacity. You know what? You want just simple booking? He cost John Cena the match versus The Undertaker, and you roll it off into SummerSlam. You bring him back for a year, $5 million. Let him have the Brock Lesnar treatment. You got Brock Lesnar go off to the UFC for 6 months, and you replace one huge star with the next. I know CM Punk is training for the next UFC, but money talks. It's time, man. I mean, cause literally every event you go to, what are they chanting? CM Punk, CM Punk. And they try, and Mickie James, bless her heart, they were chanting all the other things during the women's match. She did great. She came out and said, I'm Mickie James, and she screamed into the crowd, stopped it cold flat. So these guys know what to do. They're professional. And then the trick that I said.
The veterans know what to do. The youngsters, they kind of, it trips them up a little bit.
And then to get out of here, the trick that I found out was when the production goes into television, they start with the chokeholds, with the headlocks.
It just grinds
they
to a
slow
halt.
down, and then you could say, okay, they're on TV. Boom, the action picks up to a frenetic pace, and you see the difference. I'm like, that's how they do it in the commercials, is that they go to the headlocks, the old school moves, they slow it way down, then the TV's back on, you get a little whisper, and all of a sudden, boom, running to the ropes, fast pace. I mean, Vince McMahon's got that thing down to the wire. I mean, wow. One thing though, I'll continue, because I did watch Raw twice. It's too many angle cuts, man. It's too many. I don't know if it's me. I'm getting more sensitive to it, but it's like 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 4, 3. It's like way too many changes in camera angles. Because I was trying to get my ass on television, I'm like, man, it was like red light, like 8 cameras, way too many. Just get it to 3.
It's Kevin Dunn for you. He's in the back just.
I don't like it. It's hard on the eyes watching WWE. And I said to Andrew, I'm like, dude, I think I'm getting more sensitive to it. I don't like it. I can't. I got to close my eyes, or just, it's hard because
you got to look away, man.
Yeah, it's up, down, left, right. It's like way too many switches.
You know what I do when that stuff starts happening and starts bothering me? I just get up, I walk out of the room. I listen. I just walk out of the room though. And I go find something to do real quick. I come back. It's like a reset.
Cut out 2 cameras, man.
Leave for a quick moment, and then I come back.
Cut out 2 cameras.
You just don't have to switch so many times.
Yeah,
you can leave it on just one camera angle for a moment, and then I understand you want to help the brother
guys
out. Pulling punches. I get it.
Yes,
but geez,
Andrew said that they're like, oh yeah, they do that so that they know that it's a real wrestling match. I'm like, dude, it just hurts my eyes. But it was cool to see the behind the scenes stuff. If you go to a wrestling event, pay attention to how the cameramen help the wrestlers by counting them down, by giving them hand signals that we're off the air, your cue's done, and then do their thing. It's really kind of neat to see the behind the scenes stuff. So I had a good time with it. If you can, on a bucket list, you're a wrestling fan, sit close. It's fun. You get to see a little different side. And I'm not going to lie. 4 seconds, part of me was like, if I jump the barrier here during the Nia Jax interview,
they're whipping your ass.
Yeah, would they kick my ass? Like if I jumped over and ran, acted like, and took my shirt off and just did something, you know what? It was funny. I thought
run up the ramp to Gorilla.
Yeah, do something. No. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just run up and talk to Nia Jax. Oh, would she kick my ass? What would she do?
She'd probably body slam.
Yeah, probably do something. But all right, let's get out of here.
I'd love to see you take your shirt off. That'd be great.
For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I'm the Doc, John Macaroon. This has been the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. We've turned drinking age, episode 21, in the books. Cheers, partner.
Cheers, my brother.